Like every Monday night, you are checking out Breakfast Super Raw.
Bon appetit, as Don, Tony, and Mish dish out their opinions about the world of pro wrestling, sports, news, and pop culture. Breakfast Super Raw.
And now, your host, Mish and Don Tony.
No vintage DT stuff tonight. We got a lot of stuff to get into. Obvious, the big news that broke over the weekend. But first, the formalities. Good evening, everybody. This is Breakfast Soup Raw for August 2nd, 2021. I am Don Tony, and returning is...
Anthony Missionary Thomas. What's going on, DT? What's going on, everyone in the chat? Hope you're doing well.
Interesting Raw. Superheroes, what is she, Super Saber? I mean, we got the Super Soaker, with Miz and Morrison, and we have Nikki A.S.H crying. I mean, look, we all like her. Everybody that knows her personally seem to have nothing but awesome things to say about her. But in my opinion, WWE, in the end, I think is really hurting this character. Almost this. I talked about it last week. Almost this. Almost that. Almost this. Almost that. She's got a lot of heart. But in my opinion, the way she was used tonight, she's the goddamn champion. She's still saying, if I win, I almost could be a superhero. I almost could be a superhero. For 5-6 weeks, I almost, like I said, I almost hit the lottery. I almost got laid. I almost got the job. I almost got this. Almost is not good enough. I don't almost get it. They're making her see like such an underdog that we don't expect her to win. And I don't think that helps her character at all. To quote Pete Dunne, prove me wrong, mate. Where am I wrong?
She is an underdog, though. She's not even supposed to be the champion. She wasn't supposed to win Money in the Bank. She is not supposed to be on the same parallel as Charlotte. Rhea Ripley, maybe, but even that's to a point. Nikki is supposed to be this ultimate underdog. I just don't know if the fans are going to bite into it because the superhero stuff is so fucking corny. She was the ultimate underdog before she put on a cape and a silly butterfly, shirt, spandex, whatever the hell that is. You know what I mean? I think it would have been a little bit more credible for her character had she not turned it goofy. But WWE is WWE, and I know, and I've heard it ad nauseum, Nikki wanted to be a superhero, and they loved her in being the superhero. So that's what WWE is going to give us. But as far as being an underdog, yeah, Nikki Kross is an underdog. Nikki Kross was sitting at home for what, WrestleMania, sitting at home for Royal Rumble. She wasn't doing nothing. She's been kind of an oversight for the longest time. And now that she's a champion, we're supposed to take her as being anything but an underdog? No, absolutely not. So when people thought that Charlotte would have legitimately won, I could see it. Her having the belt is a little odd. It's a little strange. But that's what you expect from the underdog. See, it's only when the underdog wrestles enough and proves themselves against their foils, in this case being Rhea, and in this case being Charlotte, that she'll start to develop that she's no longer an underdog, but that she's deserving of that championship.
This is a clear case of something that WWE does not do that often, but they are doing it now. I remember one of the first tag teams that I talked about, or one of the first wrestlers I talked about this, was La Resistance. And I remember going back to my hotline days and saying that, WWE put the tag titles on La Resistance to try to get them over. Sometimes they go backwards. This feels like another case where they put the title on Nikki A.S.H. to try to get her over and not the reverse. Usually you're given the title, you know, when you're at the peak of your game or you are carrying whatever division. Here's a case where they put the title on her in an attempt to get her over. But Becky Lynch comes back. You know, you really, I mean, seriously, my worry is this. And look, you know, I want people not to twist what I'm saying. You know, I know, you know, you check out some other shows, your brain level, you know, the IQ could go down a little bit. But here, hear me out. We all like Nikki A.S.H. I said the night after she debuted the superhero character that I like it. And I gave the Chuck E. Cheese analogy and everything. But here is my argument to sum it up with one question. What happens to Nikki A.S.H. after she loses that championship? I almost put it in the main event. I almost won against Eva Marie. I almost did this. I mean, where is this leading to? Where she wins a decisive match? Maybe she retains at SummerSlam and she goes in the camera and says, tonight, I am a superhero.
I don't know, man. I don't see it as being that serious. And once again, it seems like it's still such an open-ended division. I think all of us are just racing towards the draft whenever that's going to happen. So the position that she's in now, it's fine for what it is. It's an underdog complex that she has, and they're trying to build something with her. I'm not necessarily saying that when she finally loses the title or when she does lose the title, that she's going to go on this bender or this tear of other wrestling feuds that are just going to blow everybody away. But it's a good, refreshing move for what it is now. It's refreshing to have somebody else in the title picture. I mean, contrary to what the Chicago crowd was like tonight, there was a lot of people cheering for Charlotte, even though a majority of people are sick and tired of Charlotte, or at least that's what they say online. A lot of people are sick and tired of seeing Charlotte and Rhea. So now you have an alternative. You have somebody else to cheer for, and it's almost like instead of cheering for them, they go back to booing her and then cheering Charlotte. So I don't know. I think the fans are a little bit fickle when it comes to this three-way dance that's going on here.
I know. I mean, honestly, this is how I look at it. Chicago has always been rabid as far as fans go. New York is another one. You got some hotbeds where wrestling comes and the fans are rabid. We've been hearing CM Punk chants since he left. I mean, we heard him when he was there, but we heard him since he left. See, the reason why people are making it such a big deal right now is two reasons. One, we're back to live fans again. And number two, him signing or is about to sign or is already signed, and we don't know the announcement yet, that he is with AEW. That's why those chants are there. But the chants were also there for Charlotte tonight, like you said. And the crowd was mixed about Goldberg. There was no question that early tonight, WWE piped in a plethora of Goldberg chants to try to get the fans in the mood. That's until the music stops and the chants stop, and then you hear the loud boos. Now, let's also remind everyone that Goldberg did get a lot of cheers. Mixed reaction. That's basically it. And I think that comes with the territory. And I think WWE and Goldberg realized that, number one, especially after what happened with The Fiend. And number two, he is a part-time wrestler. And wrestling fans, and we talk about this with NXT all the time, is they appreciate hard work and showing up every week to work. And they see someone like Goldberg that'll show up 2-3 times a year. And, you know, not a lot of people appreciate that or accept that. Blame WWE for making that contract, because I've said this before. Any of you out there, if you had the opportunity to make a boatload of money off of an employer and the employer says you only need to work, 2-3 matches a year, there's not anybody out there that's going to say, no, man, at least 20 or nothing. No, at least 30 or nothing. No. I appreciate all the money. I'm setting my son for life. And by the way, we got to talk about it. What a difference 4 years makes. What do you think, Mish?
Well, I mean, with Goldberg being back in the picture, I mean, I don't know really how much people are thinking of it. It was interesting to see him in the front row. Yeah, he's totally a different kid now. Now he's starting to look like a young man. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Goldberg was kind of getting jeered from the audience. I was talking to Krauser and a couple other friends that I had that were at the event. I chose not to go because I wanted to stay here and do the show with you. So there would have been no way I would have been back in time.
Thank you.
So I gave away my tickets. So hopefully somebody really enjoyed those and hopefully they had a good time there. But yeah, seeing Goldberg out there and stuff like that, I'm not really surprised that the crowd wasn't really as into him. But from what I was seeing on the TV, I think there was a couple people in the chat that were saying that there was a lot of piped in cheers. Yeah, there was. There was a lot of discrepancies between the people that I know were actually at the event and what was going on with TV. There was a kid in the audience before we go too far because we were just talking about Nikki Kross. During one of the commercial breaks, had a sign saying that Nikki is my superhero, and Chicago in all of its glory proceeded to boo the shit out of the kid, apparently very audibly too, and made him feel very stupid for having a Nikki A.S.H superhero sign.
See, that's where I draw the line. Seriously.
Oh no, I totally agree.
We just getting out of this COVID stuff. I mean, yeah, I know that the cases have gone up, and that's because, and we predicted this 18 months ago, that as soon as people that are vaccinated can take the mask off, how many times we say this in 18 months? People that are not vaccinated are going to look at the others and say, fuck that, man, I'm taking my mask off too. You know, right. I'm not going to go to a club, with half your face covered. Hey baby. You know, that's what it is. People, it's a risk. The
mask thing is also a different wave too, because obviously, as you know, in Chicago, Lollapalooza just happened. The mayor was trying to get everybody to wear masks at Lollapalooza. That's what they did. Yeah, they tried, and nobody really followed instructions. So you're talking was like 100,000 people at Lollapalooza with most of them wearing no masks or no protection or anything like that. So
I'm going to say something now that I actually did say something like this about 6 months ago. You know what's going to end COVID? COVID. Now, I know people are going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about, DT? You can't bribe people $100 to get a shot. You can't do lotteries. You can't do contests. You can't do this. It's a mentality that they don't trust the vaccine. Half the country don't get flu shots. The only way we're going to get over this pandemic and you see more people vaccinated is when someone close to those people gets sick and dies from it. I hate to be morbid. I said this about 6 months ago. But trust me, I have a friend of mine who didn't get the vaccine. He's close friends with my brother. My brother's family won't get vaccinated because they think it causes fertility problems, and my brother's got 2 daughters. And guess what? This guy's father caught COVID and dropped dead about 10 days ago. About 10 days ago. Guess what? The whole family went and got vaccinated. Because once it hits home, personal, it's like anything. I brought up on Thursday the AIDS epidemic of 1982, approximately then. I was, a preteen at the time. But when the AIDS epidemic came out and you heard rumblings in the gay community that homosexuals were the prime target of it, they realized quickly that unprotected sex and sharing of syringes, was causing it. And a lot of these marches early on, and I'm not homosexual, but a lot of the artists that I enjoyed in the musical world were gay, and I used to go to a lot of parties, and the crowd would be all mixed. Bottom line is this, and I talked about this last week, when AIDS broke out in '82, and everybody was basically getting sick and dying from it in the gay community, basically you realize like, okay, if I keep going out there and doing this without protection, there's a possibility, or there's a high possibility I might get infected from this, and there's no cure, and I could die from it. So what happened? Some people chose to party anyway. It'll never happen to me until it happened to them. And when people started to see so many people, dying from this, that's when it scared a lot of people straight. Use a condom, use this, use this. You could use anything. You're drinking and driving. When you see those commercials, smoking. When you see commercials on TV for smoking and you see they show a woman with a hole in her neck, don't smoke. And then you have a relative that smokes and then that person has the same surgery, you might be like, fuck, man, I'm not smoking. Fuck that. That's the only way you're going to get some people to get it, is unfortunately when tragedy hits the homestead and then people realize, fuck, anybody could get this at any given time. The scare of COVID hitting home, that's what's going to cause this to go away. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
By the way, since so many of you are tuning in tonight, a little bit higher than usual, and remember, we got Twitter going, we got Facebook going, we got Twitch going. I decided, and we're going to have that conversation about Bray Wyatt any moment. I decided, let's give out one of these tonight. Unannounced, none of this Twitter stuff. Follow me, retweet, do this, blow me, and I'll give you an autographed photo. No, we'll just give it on this show. Basically, all you have to do tonight is, after the show is over, post a comment in the comment section. Next week, when we're live, I will do like I do on Thursdays. I will put the screen live. We will pick a winner at random, and all you got to do is just pop in the chat room and just say, hey, I'm here. Claim my prize. Now, as far as size goes with these shirts, because look, you get a lot of cool collectible stuff, and you get an autographed photo. That Huskus the Pig is a shirt. This box is size extra large. I'm pretty sure I have medium, and I have 2XL also. I have about 10 of these boxes. So, I'm going to start giving them away for everyone out there. What I will not give away, and I showed this to everybody because I've told this before, and I think some people didn't believe me. One of the coolest possessions, I guess we could segue right into Bray Wyatt. One of the coolest personal collectibles that I have of Bray Wyatt. I'm an older guy now, but, several years ago, I bought lots and lots of WWE Topps packages. Anybody that grew up as a kid with baseball cards, or when you got into the 90s with refractors and autographs and jersey, worn little pieces of cloth, this big, you pull something out of a pack, you get all excited for it. Imagine how I felt about 5-6 years ago when I opened up a random Topps WWE pack of cards. Not only do I pull this autographed Bray Wyatt photo out, and I only put my bobblehead next to it so people see that this is really my photo and not a Photoshop. If you look at that card, and for those who have high definition on your computer screen, that is serial number 1. That is the first card, first autograph of that series. Number 1, not number 43, not number 61, but number 1. I pulled that shit out of a pack and I was like, wow, that brought the little kid out of me. And as you can see, Bray Wyatt fan, look behind me. It's always been there. You can't really see them, but the figures, I am a rabid Bray Wyatt fan. You want to get into it now?
Yeah, let's go for it, man.
Bray Wyatt is gone from WWE. JoJo gone about, I don't know, right around the holidays.
About 6 to 8 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, look, they have, I think, at least 2 children, and she is home with the family. Bray Wyatt, and I'll open this up by saying this. I have a lot to say about the release. Number one, over the last 10 years, it's not even close. Bray Wyatt is my favorite wrestler. I have said that for 10 years. I have more collectible stuff of his than anything else. I've talked about this before. when I used to give out prizes on our Patreon, when it used to be much bigger, the number one requested wrestler with prizes was Bray Wyatt. The puppet set, I must have given away 6 or 7 sets of it. Bray Wyatt, Bray Wyatt, Bray Wyatt. For 10 years, this guy has reinvented himself numerous times. And I want to just make this clear before we go any further. When I put this synopsis pick up earlier that Vince, you fucking blew it, I'm not talking about the release. Because we do not know yet if Bray Wyatt requested his release or if WWE released him. But I will say that when you look the last 10 years of Bray Wyatt and 2019 with this Fiend character coming out with a belt that sold for thousands of dollars, and how crazy over this guy was, even in the mainstream entertainment world, and you can't figure out what to fucking do with this guy. This is before Brody Lee passed. Remember, Saudi Arabia, Goldberg versus The Fiend, doing the shit that they did. I am just baffled. And I remember you and I several years ago on an episode talking about why does it feel like WWE is holding back on the Bludgeon Brothers? Remember that? I mean, it just feels like WWE, this is my favorite faction, at least in the last 10 plus years. It's amazing. Obviously, one unfortunately passed, but they're all gone now. They're all gone. I don't fucking get it. I don't get how a billion-dollar company and a wrestler who by far was killing it in merchandise and creatively, they just totally ruined this character. And again, this is before Brody's passing. This is before WrestleMania with his match with Orton. You think back to the house when they brawled in the house with Randy Orton and stupid production mistakes that it's dark in the house, but it's daylight driving to the arena. And then they have the WrestleMania match and there's LEDs of bugs. And I don't know where I'm wrong with this, but I tell you, it's amazing to go from Husky Harris to where we are now. I look at this guy over the last 10 years, and for the life of me, I cannot understand why they had such a difficult time getting this guy over. Even his feuds, I understand with John Cena, obviously he wasn't going to go over in the end, but you look at other things that they did with him, I don't fucking get it. I just don't get it. Again, we don't know if he requested his release. We don't know. But
so, going off that whim, from what I understood earlier, I guess Mike Johnson was kind of saying that he did not leave on his own. I guess that was something that was accredited to him and PW Insider earlier. I also saw something from one of our friends of the show saying that it was actually neither. He was saying that he didn't ask for his release and he wasn't fired. He just straight up quit, which I don't know if there's any credence there, but that's an interesting note. And this is coming from one of Joey and mine, our personal friends, that's been working there for a while. So the story is still kind of wild right now. Like the actual information is all over the place, but it's kind of heartbreaking in a way because Bray Wyatt is one of those more adult themed, at least initially, once you get past the Nexus days and the Husky Harris crap. When you get into the Waylon Mercy, Cape Fear, Bray Wyatt, I think that was honestly his pinnacle, coming out of FCW and NXT, coming up to the main roster with the Fireflies. I think initially the Wyatt family was a brilliant idea, and it touched on religious zealotry without really talking about God or Jesus or anything like that. I mean, he would call it the good book, which I absolutely loved because it wasn't really tying it directly to anything religious. And he talked about having an abusive dad and some of the lessons that he learned. And this
Came
was
up on a shrimp boat. He was doing his Forrest Gump stuff early on.
Yeah, a little bit. But I mean, it was all really good storytelling. It was storytelling from why this guy was so fucked up in the head, because it was a mix of zealotry and a mix of bad upbringing, you know, and it made sense. And what he wanted to do was fight. And he had other people that believed in the stuff that he was saying because they were messed up too, the Wyatt family. Ergo, that's why that stuff made sense. But I was even telling Joey about this because Joey's like, I can't stand the way the guy wrestles. And I said, there's nothing wrong with the way Bray Wyatt wrestles. The problem is the way Bray Wyatt's character wrestles. And what I mean by that is the whole flipping upside down shit, you know, the whole spider walk. That was creepy once or twice. But by the 3,000th time, DT, it's pretty pointless and stupid looking. The way he would go into the corner and he'd lean back and get all this. And here's the difference too. And I remember earlier today somebody asked a question. They're like, well, Mish, it worked for Undertaker and Kane. It worked for Undertaker and Kane. You know the big difference between Bray Wyatt, Undertaker, and Kane? Undertaker and Kane won most of their matches when they started getting into the demon stuff, where Bray Wyatt lost most of his matches. He lost big feuds for no reason at all. I mean, even this recently at WrestleMania, it was a complete gag. Bray Wyatt's character has been abused for a long time. And while you cycle through all the different variants of his character, I think the most recent one, the Pee Wee Playhouse Bray Wyatt, is probably the worst. Even though it sold the most merchandise because everybody had to have a stupid puppet, I still think it was definitely the most detrimental to his character. And apparently the relationship between him and Vince McMahon was really cold and hot and cold, on and off. Sometimes Vince McMahon appreciated Bray Wyatt's character and they liked the ideas together. And sometimes Vince McMahon apparently did not like Bray's ideas and therefore left him a little hearted, you know? At the end of the day, the best points of Bray Wyatt's career are when he was the happiest, when Vince McMahon agreed with the ideas that he had. And when Bray Wyatt was unhappy, you saw that reflect in his character and his in-ring work as well. I don't necessarily blame Bray Wyatt, and I'm going to go out on a limb here. I don't blame WWE for letting him go. I really don't. Because the reality is clearly WWE did not understand why Bray Wyatt fans enjoyed Bray Wyatt. They thought it was the silly puppets. It's not. They thought it was the cool masks. It's not. The best part of Bray Wyatt was the inner character that he brought out. Not the silly in-ring stuff, not the extra stuff that he's doing with Alexa Bliss. You know, it all had to do with Bray Wyatt's character. And dare I say, the whole family at one point, too. You know, rest in peace to Brody Lee. But I think it's a good idea. I think it was a good move. And I know that they're talking about budget cuts and everything else. But if WWE doesn't know what to do with the guy, wouldn't you rather him go somewhere else to where, A, he might be able to open up creative juices that he hasn't been able to do before, and B, be happy? I mean, don't we want this guy to kind of be happy?
Well,
I don't know.
You know, let me say this. Number one, it's funny how everybody online thinks they know what was in Bray Wyatt's head. They don't hang out with him. They don't talk to him. Obviously, the passing of Brody Lee, his best friend or closest friend, one of his closest friends, obviously that could devastate anybody. But all these people online talking about he was happy, he was unhappy, he was this, based on what? Based on, okay, in this picture he's unhappy, but in this picture he's kind of happy. In this picture he's extremely happy. And over here, he's fucking ecstatic. Hey, look, I'm a championship belt. And here you know, nobody knows.
I think they base it on what he was doing out as his character, though. I'm not.
You can't do that. That's entertainment.
The guy can smile.
That's entertainment. That's entertainment. You can't based on someone's mental health or being happy or not being happy based on.
I think you're taking mental health too far. I'm not talking about whether the guy's suffering depression.
Listen, the guy was in a pretty deep depression at the end of last year. And this was well documented by several people close to him. All right. And the thing is,
I'm just talking about his in-ring stuff. I'm not talking about his personal world.
Right.
I mean, his personal world, let's be honest, he's had a pretty tumultuous one with, having new kids and having a new wife and, you know what I mean? Like, and then divorcing his old wife. Like, he's had a pretty busy few years in his personal life, but I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about what fans see on the way to the ring.
My point,
Bray Wyatt, go ahead.
No, my point is that none of us know what's in here and what's in here with him. And we don't know if he requested his release or if WWE just looked at it and said, we don't know what the fuck to do with this guy anymore. We don't know which side that is. And there's a lot of people guessing because there's really only two answers. And some people try to be cute and they try to, play the fine line that, they say it this way. It sounds like it could be this, but if you say it this way, it kind of sounds like this. Nobody knows. Nobody truly knows. And the thing is that, I just look at it that I look at this and thank you everyone out there. My answers are not 100% right and neither is Mish's. We're taking two different views on this. All I'm saying is that for a guy that goes from Husky Harris and then reinvents himself into almost like a Waylon Mercy character in 2012, and then joins up. Didn't he have that other guy, Jackson Andrews or something like that? Wasn't there? They were going to pair him with someone else, but they put him up with Brody Lee and Eric Rowan in 13, and it was epic. And to me, the highlight of the Wyatt family, more than anything else, was when they were standing in the ring and the Shield was also in the ring. They didn't even touch each other yet. All they did was stare at each other, and the crowd was chanting, "This is awesome. This is awesome." They fucking loved that gimmick, the character. It was psychological. When he was feuding with John Cena, people got into it because it was badass, because of his attitude, everything about his character. It was almost like a David Koresh that you drank the Kool-Aid. Then they started doing the dumb shit, with the little kids on the speakers. He's got the whole world. And then it just continued. We talked about some of the stuff with it. Huh?
That's what they did. They jumped the shark.
Yeah.
Bray Wyatt jumped the shark at some point.
He didn't jump the shark. WWE jumped the shark.
Well,
because they seem to be able to do a pretty damn good job for their,
I think that they jumped the shark was with the Dean Ambrose illusion in the middle of the ring. What was it? Wasn't it a cage match or a Hell in a Cell?
They jumped the shark a few times with Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, but I was thinking that was the first time that it was really goofy when they did the Tupac Shakur illusion in the middle of the ring with Dean Ambrose. Oh, man, I forgot when that was.
I tell you, what baffles me is you could think of little point, and you got to understand something. I think everybody realizes this, that, creatively, when you see things on the screen, this is not the wrestlers, basically coming up with their own ideas, do stuff like this. You see some of the things that they did, and, look at him feuding with Finn Balor. They make him appear like he's Sister Abigail, and they put Finn Balor in fucking pumpkin colors, and it looked horrendous. And I'm like, thank God that shit never happened at the time. But then it goes on. And it just feels like WWE, how, I kind of compare it to Mankind in 1996. Remember when early on Vince McMahon was not sold on Mankind? And even though Mick Foley was killing it with the Mankind character, Vince McMahon still felt that it was not something that could be worthy to go even bigger. Now, obviously, things changed, but you got to remember when they changed, he was Dude Love, he did the Cactus Jack, then he was Mick Foley, and then he did this. But with Bray Wyatt, it feels almost the same thing. It feels like, I don't think WWE was ever fully sold on the character, because every time it got momentum, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan were fucking over as fuck. And I remember at the time we wanted to see them as tag champions, and it just felt like, why aren't they pushing about, the New Day, the Usos, this. So there was always somebody else that they just felt was a little bit above. And then they give them the goofy fucking hammers, which looked ridiculous. And then you got the Bray Wyatt just reinvent. And this is, I think, in my opinion, in the last 20 years, I think Bray Wyatt is number one at taking, not only reinventing, but maybe taking what is perceived to be chicken shit and turned into chicken salad. I don't know, because it just feels like you look at this time span, and every time he reinvented himself after Husky Harris, to me, he became a cult hero, a cult icon for wrestling fans. And every time it felt like this is the guy, the number one guy that everybody was focused on, selling crate merchandise. I don't care if it's puppets. That should show you how good this guy was at reinventing himself, because you have this guy that was a David Koresh, drink the Kool-Aid stuff, and then a couple of years later, he's doing a Mr. Rogers gimmick, then he's playing with puppets, then he's dressed as the Fiend. Oh, and by the way, pretty cool tonight, Alexa Bliss paying tribute to the Fiend. I don't know if anybody caught that tonight. I thought that was pretty cool. But I just think he is number one at reinventing and taking his character and turning it into something that I don't think WWE ever expected it to be. And it feels like every time Bray Wyatt had the opportunity to really take it to the top level, they would do something ridiculous. The shit with Randy Orton, like I said, the LED things with the bugs, dumb production mistakes. He's feuding with John Cena, and they got to do the goofy stuff with the kids and all. And I'm not going against kids. I'm just saying, like, WWE was always there to fuck with it. I mean, you have, like you said, I don't compare him to Undertaker or Kane because they had Hall of Fame careers. Different eras. Undertaker in 1990, if he debuts that gimmick in 2021, there's a good chance it's not going to last 20 years. All right. It started in a different era. Kane as well. Kane started in the 90s during the Attitude Era, and it had so many reinventions. I still remember when he took the mask off and he looked like one of the Stooges with the hair and the black makeup. When he unmasked, everybody was laughing at him. But I tell you, I look back at these last 10 years and I say to myself, why fuck with this? Why? And I feel bad for Alexa Bliss, because Alexa Bliss, and I didn't even mention it online because, again, you got whack jobs online. The worst thing you could do with whack jobs is give them attention. Some random goof out there, Eddie Guerrero is a B-plus player. Oh, everybody had to make a statement to make them look like they know. Oh, no, Eddie he's my God. I have him tattooed on my leg, his name. Like, of course, we figured it out 10 years ago. Eddie Guerrero was an A-plus player. More than that. But because one random goof said something, everybody's got to make a political statement so they could get those 100 likes and feel, oh, you're so spot on. People were blaming Alexa Bliss. saying that WWE decided to give Alexa Bliss the Fiend character, and she got a lot of hate over the weekend. And I'll be honest with you, I was very concerned tonight. I was very concerned tonight that when Alexa Bliss hit that Titantron, that the Chicago crowd was going to boo her because...
They did.
They did? Okay.
They did. So that's another one of those cases that other people brought up that was tracked over. You remember when everybody said that there was no possible way that NXT could track over the Jeff Hardy chance, but, you know, they did it tonight in full effect. Apparently, Alexa Bliss was absolutely booed during her segment.
I think that is so unfair. I think that is so unfair. I mean, WWE, I don't think Alexa Bliss is acing this character. You know, until they started doing the special effects stuff, I thought that's where. And today with the doll coming up, you could see the string. You know, you can't see it on the Titantron when you're live in the arena because the pixels is so. You know, the DP is not. Right. I'm talking about the the video quality.
DPI.
Yeah, the DPI. What did I say? DP. Of course, you can't see that, but at home you could see the strings. I mean, it's just. It's so unfair to take it out on her. I think that is so unfair. And
I don't know if they're necessarily taking out Bray Wyatt's release on Alexa Bliss tonight. I think they just don't like the shitty doll gimmick, dude. I really don't think that Chicago... Maybe, I mean, I could be wrong, but I really don't think that they're mad at Alexa Bliss because of the Bray Wyatt stuff. I don't get that vibe at all. I think they're just not fans of the Alexa Bliss swinging with shitty laugh. I think that's more along the lines, DT.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you this much. I know a lot of people were saying make Bray Wyatt the leader of the Dark Order in AEW. Now,
I'm okay with that.
Now, obviously, following the footsteps of Brody Lee being the leader, as a wrestling fan, I think that is fucking awesome. Here's the only issue that I have with it. And I'll summarize it like this. If you look at the Dark Order when it first came in, and the cult, absolutely, I could see the older Bray Wyatt, not Fiend stuff, not the last couple of years, but, you know, when... like the Waylon Mercy guy, I could see him doing shit like that. The thing is, though, and I pointed this out back in December, is that the Dark Order morphed from a cult to a fraternity. The Dark Order is like a fraternity of college guys, partying, hanging out, family, looking out for each other. That's what the Dark Order is right now. It's not the cult that it debuted as. And if you're going to make Bray Wyatt the leader of the Dark Order, you're going to have to reinvent that whole gimmick, because you have those guys acting like they are now and laughing and celebrating backstage. You know, I don't know how that is going to work. I look at all the Bray Wyatt characters, and I don't see where that fits in at all. So you would have to obviously reinvent the Dark Order gimmick itself. I will tell you that wherever he goes, I mean, obviously there is a family of Wyatts out there that are going to support him. I will be one of the leaders supporting him out there. I look at companies out there, and my fear is I don't know where he is a perfect fit. You put him in AEW, okay, you tweak the Dark Order to coincide with maybe one of his older characters, and then what? Do you see him going up against Kenny Omega? Do you see him with someone else, you know, going up against the Young Bucks? Do you see him going up again? There's a lot of people that I just feel like AEW, like it doesn't, I don't see those paths crossing. I think at the end of the day, all the ideas that people are saying, they just want to see him. They just want to see him. So, when people are talking about, oh, he should be the leader of the Dark Order. Yeah, maybe the leader 2 years ago. But you use that current faction and you bring him in. Does it make sense at all? Other than the fact that he follows in the footsteps of Brody Lee as the leader. So I just, as a wrestling fan, I want to see Bray Wyatt on TV. I want to see him on TV. Yeah. I just look at the companies and I think Bray Wyatt, see No Way Jose. I can't believe I'm saying, but see No Way Jose. He got let go from WWE. Everybody and their mother, including him himself, talked about reinventing, repackaging, and trying to reinvent himself until he showed up in Impact Wrestling, and a lot of people were like, the hell were you doing during all this time? Did you spend any time trying to go? Now, again, Impact Wrestling might have wanted what they have right now, and I'm not knocking the guy. What I'm saying is that I think if Bray Wyatt is going to return to wrestling, I think Bray Wyatt, for the last 6-7 months, even when he was on TV for WrestleMania, I think for the last 6-7 months, in his mind, he's already started to envision what the next step is in his career, what the character could be, psychological, how is he going to look? I don't know if the Hawaiian shirts are going to be coming back. I think that he's already, if he's going to return to wrestling, I think he's already working on what his next persona could be and how it could fit outside of WWE, because that's the thing. The Undertaker, just forget about American Badass for a minute. He couldn't do the dead man in other companies. WWF would have had lawsuits all over the place. And what were they going to call him? The dead man? You know what I mean? So when people say, oh my God, could you imagine if Undertaker would have went to WCW, and what would he have done? How would he have changed his character so there's no lawsuits? So Bray Wyatt outside of WWE is going to be a completely different person. I just want to know if he's okay, if it was his decision to leave, and if he wants to stay in wrestling. His brother is out of wrestling. He's got money. He's married. Well, he's got JoJo, and he's got his kids, and he seems at peace right now. When you see him posing, but you should know this, and I know a lot of others out there know this. You see people that you know personally and care about. You see them in public. You see them personally, and they're smiling. Hey, what's going on? You're smiling, but inside they're not smiling at all. We don't know. We don't know all the details. And I think it's a little bit disrespectful, in my opinion, for people online to speculate if he walked away from it right now because his heart isn't in it. He's still really suffering from the passing of his friend. Or if WWE, decided to let him go because creatively they had nothing. Or Bray Wyatt just wasn't ready to return, and WWE and Bray Wyatt, we don't know. We don't know. It's, at the end of the day, people truly don't know whose decision this was. And me, as a wrestling fan, the only thing that I have to talk about tonight and vent about is, for 10 years, they had an awesome fucking character and an awesome performer. And psychologically, I loved it. In the ring, he didn't have to give me 5-star matches. Outside the ring, he entertained me. Every time there was a new gimmick, he aced it. And every time it felt like it was going to go to the next level, they fucked it up. And to me, the nail in the coffin was him losing to Goldberg. Because if you remember that whole scenario with him taking on Cena at Mania, but they didn't want any title to be on the line, so he drops it to Goldberg, and then Goldberg was supposed to drop it, I think, to Roman Reigns, and then Roman Reigns obviously couldn't perform, so they gave it to Braun Strowman instead. And Bray Wyatt, man, I tell you, WWE truly, we had 10 years. And for 10 years, they were able to make him one of the top-selling merchandise, one of the top most popular talents. And still, it feels that WWE didn't have enough confidence, that it was more of an attraction than a performer. Does that kind of make sense? That WWE viewed him more as an attraction, with the Fireflies.
That's why they stopped writing for him for a while. I mean, all the stuff that they gave him was just gimmicky stuff. Look, when you talk about Bray Wyatt going to AEW, I think you have this misnomer that Bray Wyatt can't be any facet of what made him famous in WWE, and I disagree. I don't think WWE owns the rights to religious zealotry. I don't think that they own the rights to Cape Fear type characters.
Yeah, you can see Aleister Black as an example.
Right. So if you have somebody like a Bray Wyatt in the Dark Order or rerunning the Dark Order, I agree that you have to change it from a fraternity back to a cult. That can be done in a couple of vignettes. They could easily revamp the whole thing. They could easily do it in the memory of Brody. They can easily make the attachments between Bray and Brody. They don't even have to say why, because it's expected that the fans understand who Bray Wyatt is, because the fans knew who Brody was. And I said earlier, even with Joe, I'm like, if they wanted to take it to a darker level, they could have Bray Wyatt be the father figure for Brody Lee Jr. They can do some amazing storylines in AEW with Bray Wyatt literally cleaning up the Dark Order and sacrificing some of those people out of the group and remaking a new family. They might even change the name. Instead of Dark Order, change it to the Family. Change it to something else. And go back to the things that Bray Wyatt was really strong at. Go back to not the shitty gimmicks. Don't go back to the weird holograms and the Pee-wee Playhouse show. Don't go back to any of that. Go back to him telling stories about his daddy. Go back to him telling stories about the good book. Go back to him judging people based upon what he was taught when he was a kid. Have a group that is based on the foundation of zealotry and fanaticism to the point where you don't have to go after a Kenny Omega. You don't have to go after an MJF or a Hangman Page or a Cody Rhodes or a Chris Jericho. You create a group that goes after anybody.
Okay. So how's this?
Right. Sure.
How's about, because Braun Strowman posted a very interesting tweet over the weekend. Everybody, because they saw 2 shirts on sale in WWE Shop that were already designed, and that's why they were on sale. Oh, no, Braun's returning. They based it on shirts for sale. Braun wrote over the weekend, I'm waiting for you, brother. When Scott Hall showed up in WCW in 1996, hey, yo. And WWE doesn't know the trademark to hey, yo. It's a phrase. I could picture out of nowhere, even if it's a short-term deal, I could picture Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman, Eric Rowan, even if there's a silhouette, even if it's a dark room, just on the screen, and they could be dressed normal. I mean, you look, especially with Braun Strowman and Eric Rowan, they didn't have any attire that's kind of trademarked, if you really think about it. I mean, I'm sure they couldn't wear the mask, but they could wear similar attire. And I'm just saying, I'm just fantasizing right now. Just imagine AEW. It's not going to happen in New York. It's too soon. But later this year, they're somewhere, pay-per-view or something, and the lights go out, and then just the screen is on, and you see this really dark room, and then you see a lantern. I mean, WWE can't sue if Bray Wyatt lights a lantern, but if he lights the lantern and all you hear Bray Wyatt go, AEW, we're here, and he blows the lantern out. Obviously couldn't use that music, but I could see, and the more I'm thinking about this, I could see the Dark Order in the middle of the ring after a match or some other group in the ring, and then the lights go off, and then on the screen it's them, and they just say, AEW, we're here, and then the lights go back on, they're in the ring, and they just beat the fuck out of whoever's in the ring. Why not do that? Why not do that? I think AEW, and I understand there's a lot of people out there that have their opinions about AEW hiring former WWE talent. But if there's people out there that entertained us, why not? Why not? Why not? Malachi Black, I'm more excited to see him kick the shit out of Cody this week than I have thought about him for weeks. I remember a year or two ago, fight me. You're in the fucking hotel room. You want to fight, so when you leave the hotel room, it wasn't him, it was WWE writing. Every week, somebody, I'm begging you, fight me. It's hard to fight someone when you're locked inside your house. That's what goofs do on Twitter every week. They're locked in their basement. Oh, fight me. I'll fight you. Why not have Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman, and Eric Rowan show up in AEW as a faction? The big challenge is, what do you call them? The family?
The family.
But we have the family here. I'm going to have to trademark that shit fast. I don't know. What do you guys think, man? What do you think? Everybody said Bray Wyatt, leader of the Dark Order. I say you bring him, Strowman, and Eric Rowan into AEW as a faction, and they always leave a seat empty at the table. Man, more I'm thinking about this, more I'm feeling it. You know, you always keep an empty seat at the table, and that's for their fallen comrade. And that crowd, they'll chant Brody. Each member in the ring will feel it in here. I know there's a lot of people out there that are not big AEW fans. But again, we're wrestling fans. You know, I don't understand I guess we could segue to this. Ric Flair. You could go back to AEW or Bray if you want to remember, but Ric Flair, okay? He was released from WWE. And by the way, I want to share this because the actual TV show dropped me an email and said, hey, could you share this with your viewers tonight? Ric Flair, and I have the info in front of me, he's going to be on Thursday on a TV show called Dinner Drive with Kyle Petty. Now, I know some of you out there have seen one of these pictures online, but you haven't seen the other two because they sent it to me directly and they're, without logos or anything like that. But that's them sitting in a restaurant and they're having a conversation about wrestling and stuff like that. This is going to air this Thursday at 8 p.m. on a network called Circle. It is like a country music channel. You could find it on Peacock, Roku. I think Time Warner has it. Dish Network has it. It's Thursday at 8 o'clock. The commercial, can I air it? It's about 50 seconds. Is it all right if I air it?
Yeah.
All right. It's 50 seconds. This way, if people just want to see, you might be interested in wanting to see this Thursday. Not bad. Actually interested in seeing it. And Benjamin, wait till next week. Wait till next week when we start plugging heels. Ooh, that's next week. Look, Ric Flair got his release. And right away, I saw droves of people talking about, oh, now they could reform the Horsemen in AEW. And I say this as a huge AEW fan. Did everybody forget Ric Flair earlier this year talking about how Tully and Arn haven't talked to him in years? I mean, I understand Ric Flair is all about the money, but, you know, what do you, okay, you know, like, they're not hanging out at autograph conventions. They show up in AEW, and then what? They're not wrestling. Ric Flair, in the condition that he's in, you know, he's got to enjoy. Okay, why do people want to see the Four Horsemen reunite in AEW? And
I don't.
do what?
I don't. I was actually kind of heartbroken because I really wanted to know what was going to happen between Ric Flair and Lacey. I really wanted to see where that storyline.
Well, Lacey Evans, you know, maybe she doesn't re-sign with WWE and, you know, stays home and then maybe gets a part-time wrestling career on the side, and who knows?
Little Ric Flair Lacey love storyline in AEW.
Look, Ric Flair, and here's the facts. Ric Flair wants to enjoy himself, wants to make money, wants to style and profile, and WWE really does not have much for him. They really don't. And the thing is, appreciate Ric Flair. We don't know how many years he's got left. His health is, you know, not as good as everybody thinks it looks. But he is smiling, and the smiles look genuine, and he wants to be able to tour. He wants to go on shows. Do I think he'll make an appearance in AEW? Yeah, I really do think that he will make an appearance. But, you know, again, when people talk about reforming the Horsemen, you know, remember that there was a big falling out. And sure, if AEW offers Rick a lot of money, hey, just go out there and pretend that you four guys still are buddies and everything. I'm sure they would do that. But what is he going to do? Are people thinking that they're going to do a better version of Ric Flair, what TNA did? You know, do
you think it would be interesting? Let me throw this out here too, because this is something else that I saw that was mentioned. Do you think Ric Flair would manage someone against Sting?
See, Sting, I think people have figured out that Sting's career in the ring is very, very limited right now. Right. And personally, as much as I defended Sting being signed and told everyone, you know, wait and see, Sting knows his body better than any of us, and Sting never embarrassed us in his whole career with his, you know, not being out of shape and all that. I personally remember how I felt when they did the Hulkamania tour in Australia. When Hogan and Flair brawled in Australia, and I think it was Australia, did that press conference, and, you know, all the bleeding and everything. And to me, it looked like two elderly men drunk in a bar having a bar fight, and it looked sad. It looked sad. And I could see possibly Ric Flair mentoring someone, but Sting is a lot older now. And I don't think Sting, as a feud with Ric Flair trying to take Sting out, no, I personally think maybe Ric Flair could manage someone and that person tries to take Darby out, and then you have someone wrestle Darby with Ric Flair in that person's corner and Sting in that corner. And no, I don't think Andrade is the answer just because it's going to be his son. It doesn't make sense. Look at the Andrade character, you know, Scarface or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't make sense. But down the line, sure. I could see it. Why not? But, you know, just keep in mind of Ric Flair's age. And Ric Flair still loves it. So Ric Flair wants to be more involved. So, you know, again, I do expect Ric Flair to make an appearance here and there. But I think people need to remember, look at Ric Flair in the Car Shield commercials. He's got to read cue cards. And not only read cue cards, it looks like he's reading cue cards because I don't think he could memorize like he used to. I totally let it go because of his age. It happens. We're all mortal. Ric Flair cannot do what he used to. Even when Ric Flair cuts a promo, he's all tongue-tied. It sounds like he's got a lisp because of his mouth and his jaw and his, he can't talk like he used to. And I want to see Ric Flair smile. I want to see him make appearances. And I want to enjoy a little cameo here and there. But to put him full-blown, I don't know. I don't know how, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Again, people focused on, now we just got to get J.J. Dillon. For what? So the Four Horsemen could do this in an AEW ring? Cool. Yes, cool moment. Especially if we find out that they mended fences. But, we've seen them at autograph conventions. We've seen them at other places. Doing this in AEW ring, what is that actually doing? It reminds me of a video game when we used to get an old WWF video game, a create a wrestler, and we would all create wrestlers from other organizations. Oh my God, could you imagine if blah, blah, blah was in WWF? People created you and I as wrestlers, in those games. We fantasize. But having them all four in the ring do this, what moment are you trying to get?
Well, I think it's a dichotomy of AEW fans wanting to respect the older days and get that nostalgia from Attitude Era, Golden Era, whatever, the Marshmallow Era, pretty much everything that they weren't allowed or they didn't get the chance to see. They kind of want to see that repeated in AEW, but at the same time, they want to try and build up new acts. They want to build up new talent. They want to build up new storylines. So it's this weird mix of yesterday and today, all in AEW, which kind of leads me to wonder about the direction of the entire program. So I don't know. I think if Tony Khan wants it, if Tony Khan wants Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen to stand in the middle of the ring and do this, that's what's going to happen. Because at the end of the day, the fans can cheer for it all they want. They can bitch and gripe on social media all they want. But unless Tony makes that phone call, it ain't going to happen.
Absolutely. People also need to remember that some of the people that are yelling the loudest that they want to see the Four Horsemen do this in an AEW ring were the same people that were ripping AEW for signing Sting, for signing Paul White, for signing Mark Henry. And, I understand Ric Flair's not going to wrestle, but, they're starting to realize that a little nostalgia is not bad. It's how it's used. And like I said, I don't mind Goldberg. It's how he's used. I understand him. You and I talked about this a year ago. Goldberg is signed to another year or two to the WWE contract, and his agreement is to wrestle 2 to 3 times a year. Period. So when you realize that a year ago that Goldberg had 2 years left in his deal, we expected him to fight someone, and he fought Drew McIntyre, and he lost. Right. Now this year, he's fighting Bobby Lashley, and I expect him to lose again. Next year, we will do the very same thing again, barring injury. Goldberg will appear. Maybe it'll be against Roman Reigns, the match that a lot of people wanted to originally see. Maybe next year it's Roman Reigns. But if you understand Goldberg's contract 3 years ago, this should not be surprising for anybody out there. He's not going to fight Reggie. He's going to fight someone more of a bigger name. And in the annals of wrestling history, Drew McIntyre look back and he'll have a stat as beating Goldberg, as Bobby Lashley, and as someone else. But Goldberg will take on Bobby Lashley at SummerSlam. The match will be short. I expect Bobby Lashley to win. his son impresses me. If his son wants to be a wrestler, I could see WWE telling his, Goldberg and his son, wait 4 or 5 more years. We might be able to do something. I mean, Dominic, I'm pleasantly surprised on how decent he has been doing. But what do you think about them making it official, Goldberg versus Lashley at SummerSlam tonight?
That's fine. I kind of thought that was already official. I thought that's where we were leading up to when he appeared last week. So them going through with it, him coming out there talking a little shit to MVP. The crowd was obviously interrupting during his promo. So he did the Mick Foley art of redirecting the crowd by screaming out Chicago. Goldberg's kind of a trip. So it is what it is. I really just hope that there's no other answer to this than Bobby Lashley just kicking the living shit out of Goldberg. And if they wanted to be smart about it, and I don't know if they're going to do this or not, but the interesting idea that they could do is maybe Bobby Lashley does take Goldberg out back and beat the hell out of him. Maybe his son eventually avenges his father. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is. You're talking about something that's going to be around for a few years. Obviously, the kid's nowhere near ready. But it would be interesting to see the kid get some kind of comeuppance against Bobby Lashley for kicking the shit out of his dad. But, man, I really hope they don't let Goldberg win this. I'm sorry.
No,
I know that there's a lot of Goldberg fans out there that want to see Goldberg win, but damn. If Bobby Lashley loses to Goldberg, that is going to be a kick in the head.
It's not going to happen.
I hope not.
I will be personally. I mean, I would bet almost my house. There's no chance whatsoever. I put it this way. I last year said repeatedly, everyone, don't worry about it. Drew McIntyre is going to retain. They are not going to make the same mistake they did with the Fiend in Saudi Arabia. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Okay, maybe I got lucky. I feel more confident about Lashley beating Goldberg than I did last year with Drew McIntyre. I am not concerned about Goldberg.
Let me throw this out here, too. And I see people sitting there saying that, Goldberg's kid is too young to have a match. I'm not talking about a match. I'm just talking about what if the kid spears Bobby Lashley? Or what if the kid spears MVP? You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. Not necessarily saying that. I mean, it would be interesting to see it build up to something years down the road, but that's way too long of a time for WWE to book ahead of time. So, I mean, just in the sense of Goldberg gets smashed and Goldberg's son comes out there and avenges him with a spear or something like that. Yeah. That could be nice.
Thank you, Crazy Cruiserweight. Main event results from tonight. Angel Garza over Lince Dorado. Jackson Riker. They're throwing shit on the wall, hoping for something to stick. Without Elias, Jackson Riker, unfortunately, feels like he is dead in the water. This time he beat Cedric Alexander on main event. I don't know. I'm continuing. I'm not one of those that ever wishes anybody's release, but I've been long enough as a wrestling fan since 79 to see when people just don't seem to be working out. And I hope they find something. I hope they fall into something they're not expecting. But Jackson Riker, I don't know. I just don't feel it. Get back to Super Chats in a second. Something else wasn't expecting tonight. This is why people need, pardon my language, this is why people need to shut the fuck up sometimes. Last week, I told everyone out there about Keith Lee. People out there truly don't know what's going on. Oh, no, he's done. He's out. He's out. All these rumors, he's gone. He's gone. And look, he could end up leaving WWE for all we know. But tonight, he's taking on Karrion Kross again. I saw all these people tweeting early on in that match. That's it. Here's the nail in the coffin. And the funny thing is, Corey Graves made a remark early in the match that made me think right away, this son of a bitch may win tonight. Because Corey Graves said that a third loss for Keith Lee might be the death nail also. If anybody follows wrestling close enough, whenever a commentator says something like that, usually the opposite happens.
Right.
But he had a damn good match with Karrion Kross. Keith Lee got the win. I mean, he put the straitjacket on Keith Lee, and it looked like he was tapping out, and he broke the hold and hit him with his powerbomb and got the win. And when that happened, I immediately thought of the night Karrion Kross lost to Jeff Hardy. And, you know, God bless some of you out there who hate my guts, that I'll say something 5 minutes after Raw goes off the air, and you don't say nothing about it. And then another podcast will say it 5 days later, and you'll post it everywhere. That night I said that I was concerned about Scarlett not being shown on the intros or anything else, and then him losing. I said, you think they might do a storyline where Karrion Kross loses a few more matches and Scarlett returns to basically straighten his ass out? Now all of a sudden, those are the news reports going around, that Karrion Kross is going to lose a few more matches and Scarlett is going to straighten his ass out. Scarlett will probably show up at TakeOver and straighten Karrion Kross's ass out, and Karrion Kross retains against Samoa Joe. And the funny thing is, after that night, either Karrion Kross does not show up on Raw again in the very near future, or if he does, he will with Scarlett. We talked about it the night he lost to Jeff Hardy. Tonight, Karrion Kross loses again. But it was a fucking phenomenal match. And we have seen heavyweight champions get pinned on WWE television for decades. Non-title matches. We've seen Sheamus get pinned. We've seen other champions get pinned. A lot of times when they get pinned, it's supposed to give that suspension of disbelief that someone else could possibly win. Why do you think they're doing this with Samoa Joe? Some people said tonight, wait a minute, Karrion Kross keeps losing. He's got a fucking match with Samoa Joe in a couple weeks. Exactly. By Karrion Kross losing, it gives that thought a little bit more that, hey, maybe Samoa Joe can win this. If Karrion Kross is so unstoppable going into this match against Samoa Joe, then the outcome is pretty much already guaranteed. With him on this losing streak, they're going to sell that Karrion Kross can be defeated. That, I don't agree with it, but I understand it. Am I wrong? Or does it feel like by having him lose a really good competitive match, it does give that little subconscious thought that, hey, Samoa Joe, could possibly beat this guy. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I can totally see that. I mean, that makes perfect sense. I guess the biggest thing about it is not necessarily the Samoa Joe stuff, but more along the lines of where he's going to go on the main roster. I think, if anything, they're laying the groundwork for what me and you talked about, and that's Scarlett to eventually make her return or her debut in Kross's corner. I think a lot of the loss and the direction of Kross right now is to expose him in a weird way. Even though he's the champion down in NXT, the people that are wondering why he's NXT champion clearly know that there's something missing from his character on Monday Night Raw. It's not a fucking hidden secret. So I'm just kind of waiting for the day when Scarlett appears and then Kross kind of metamorphosizes into something else. He changes. And I don't just mean that his intro and everything else changes, but the way that he handles himself in the ring, the savageness, the brutality. Yeah, he had a great match with Keith Lee tonight, but he wasn't savage. He wasn't brutal. He wasn't Kross. He's a guy that looks like Kross, that has Kross's belt. That's what he is.
And someone's going to tell him that in a promo.
Well,
we'll see. Nero Faye, why is Kross on Raw? I know you've been tuning in. We've been talking about the Nick Khan effect for about 7 weeks now. It's advertisement for NXT, utilizing talent to get a little exposure. Nick Khan is basically doing what he did with the other departments. I don't know how many times we've said it on these shows. That's why you see NXT wrestlers wrestling on Main Event, dark matches on SmackDown, 205 Live, Raw. It's not sacrilegious to have an NXT wrestler wrestle on one of the other shows. Showcase them. Simple. J-Dub, is Don Tony in the Mafia? What do you think? Shout out to Lee, RCWR. I'll email you the message I got from the place. It was pretty clear that, you know, I don't have access for nothing, but, you know, we'll see what's going on. Like I said, my mom's birthday is less than a week after, and I don't know what's going on with the family. But, you know, I'll forward you the email that I got that Washington does not want Don Tony there. So, but thank you. AS7607, she cannot take Nikki seriously in the superhero gimmick. She's a great performer, but with this gimmick as women's champion, it's a joke. AS7607 is female, by the way. And, you know, I've had a numerous number of females say similar things. You know, again, we're separating the person, the personality, the work ethic, the talent. Nikki's got all of that. But in my opinion, the way WWE is showcasing her right now, why does Nikki have to tell us 65 times over the last month that she's almost everything? You know, that's not confidence. Almost. How many times? I understand it's a catchphrase. And that's what a character is. When you say it 65 times in 5, 6, 7 weeks, and then Charlotte is handing your ass for 75% of the match tonight, and it looks like you're winning on a fluke, there's always an asterisk next to a win, a cash-in, a beat-the-clock challenge, count-out, interference, today, table. You know what I mean? When it comes to a straight-up wrestling match, I have yet to see Nikki Kross beat Rhea or Charlotte clean.
Right.
Just how I'm looking at it. You know, Mark Anderson, The Fiend, hasn't been the same since he lost to Goldberg in Saudi Arabia. I agree with you 100%. I mean, Mish was right before that they jumped the shark numerous times before then. But The Fiend was on such a different level. And fans have been batshit triggered for decades. I have with certain decisions, with matches. To this day, that is up there with one of the weirdest, dumbest decisions that WWE has ever done by having Goldberg beat The Fiend. All because they did not want a title on the line at WrestleMania against John Cena. They were doing that supernatural stuff. So get the title away from the Bray Wyatt. I don't get it. I still don't get, right before Mania, when Alexa Bliss, I don't know if you remember this moment. You remember on Raw, Alexa Bliss, I know what it was, when The Fiend first returned. He was gone for a while from being burned, and then he returned. And Alexa Bliss, I think, told Randy Orton that we'll see you at WrestleMania or something like that. The Fiend, I think, pointed to the WrestleMania sign. The Fiend had a microphone in his hand. And I remember you and I that night saying, why did the fucking Fiend have a microphone in his hand? The Fiend never spoke.
Right.
I mean, you know, during the matches, yowie wowie. But little things like that, that match with Goldberg, and I say it 1,000 times over, I'm a Goldberg fan. And I will even say that was one of the worst decisions in the history of me being a wrestling fan.
Right.
Hated it. Brandon Jones says, Vince, it's time to consider retirement. I think he's already retired. I think he is there in spirit. I think everybody, of course he has the final say, but I don't think it's as deep as people think it is. I don't think Vince is that much, but who knows? I mean, the perception is there. Rick, he will not retire. Only health and another circumstance, which we will not say.
Right.
Psycho Jet Black. This is interesting, Bish. Should Ric Flair become Nick Aldis's new manager?
I don't know.
NWA?
That could be interesting. It could be interesting, but I don't know.
Pretty big lineage.
Yeah.
I could see Nick Aldis versus someone for the NWA heavyweight title, and maybe Ric Flair presents the belt to the winner of a match with Ric Flair's history in NWA. I could see that. I mean, we don't have the original NWA brass anymore, so they're not livid from 1992. You know what I mean? So I don't think that should be a concern. That's not a bad idea, but maybe you could do kind of a variation of that. So,
yeah.
Carazabel. Oh my God, you guys took all the words and feelings right out of my mouth. I just hope we don't look back wondering if he ever reached his potential. Mish, do you think Bray Wyatt has already reached his potential, or do you think there is a higher ceiling still possible?
Absolutely, there's a higher ceiling. I don't think he reached his full potential in WWE. I think, if anything, the older that he gets, the more versatile his character becomes, and only because he knows what doesn't work for him. He knows what he's not capable of. He knows what he can't sell. And the fans will be the first ones to tell him. The fans will be the first ones to tell him, hey, Bray, your Playhouse shit sucked. Your stuff with Bliss sucked. The fans will tell him. Fans will sit there and tell him too, hey, I miss the Wyatt family. I think that's when you were best. I think it was best when the entire crowd all pulled out their cell phones every time you came out to the ring. I thought that was kind of cool. See, this is the thing that happens with wrestlers that at least pay attention to their own careers. They realize at what points they were the most over with the fans and at what points they were making the most money. At what points they had the most influence over fans' wallets. I'm not trying to say this to try and demystify or negate the fans' opinions on things, but it is a business at the end of the day. And Bray Wyatt knows what he has to tap into in order to be the best Bray Wyatt that he can be. So no, I don't think he's ever truly had the freedom to be what he wanted to be, because obviously there's the different ceilings. Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, Kevin Dunn, whoever else is underneath there holding up different ceilings and telling Bray or writing for Bray or giving him direction, not necessarily where he wants to go. So if you give him an opportunity to be the character that he wants to be, I think that he has a good idea. I think the fans have directed him pretty well, regardless of what WWE says. I think that he does have the opportunity to become a bigger character, a larger-than-life character than what he's ever been before.
I think Bray Wyatt is only 32 years old, so he's got many years left in his career. And that's one thing also that I think is really in Bray Wyatt's court here. You look at his 10-year career. He hasn't had to take a lot of crazy-ass bumps. I mean, if there's anything, like you said, I know Joey didn't like his wrestling style, which is totally understandable. I know a lot of people that echo his words. But I think in hindsight, that probably saved or prolonged his career by many, many years. When you could do an awesome psychological game and you don't have to leave your feet that much, I think he could have another 10 years plus in wrestling. And that's not, and 10 years he'd be 42. You look at some other 40-year-olds out there that are killing it right now at 40 years old. So we hope. We hope. By the way, I want to give a shout out to our La Familia, the elite channel members here. By the way, I posted an announcement earlier today. You know, I always said this channel was never going to be about a money grab. And I had a tier here for the VIP channel members. It was $9.99. I have gotten rid of that tier, and that tier is now $4.99. So any of you out there that I just showed, make sure you switch over to the lower tier. You don't lose anything. In fact, everybody's getting a little more, but I never wanted this to be a channel where you had to decide, do I do this or do I do here? So I just wanted just to let you all know. So much love, much love. We just talked about jumping the shark. Low-key 07. Yes, Mish, that jumping of the shark was very important because it made Bray look like a dork, and Dean, it made him look like a schmuck. I could see the pain in your eyes for this release, DT. Don't worry. The Kilt of Wyndham is coming. You know, I don't mean to sound morbid, and this is Captain Obvious talking. Bray Wyatt is not dead. Bray Wyatt is still here. He could still give us many years of enjoyment. So this is not a eulogy of someone who passed away. This is just 10 years, for me, 10 years of enjoying the fuck out of this guy. What Bray Wyatt is to me is what CM Punk is to Mish. And Mish is from Chicago. So Mish has got that extra special connection. I don't have that with Bray Wyatt. But anybody that ever pays attention to me, I love psychology more than a 5-star match. Give me good fucking psychology and you win me over. You know, of course the match can't suck, but I love psychology. And Bray Wyatt, that's why, even though it's unpopular to say, that's why I said I enjoyed Cena versus Wyatt at last year's WrestleMania more than I enjoyed Undertaker versus AJ Styles. Not by much, by this much, but if you told me that one channel had Cena versus Wyatt from last year, Cena versus Fiend or Wyatt, and then the other channel had AJ versus Undertaker, which one would you watch? I would watch both, but I would watch Cena and Wyatt just a little bit more. But your thoughts on what Loki said about the jumping in the shark and making Dean look like a schmuck also?
It's absolutely true. I thought that when WWE started really getting into the supernatural stuff as opposed to the psychological stuff, I think that's when they jumped the shark. When they started dealing with things that were not based in reality. Fucking with people's heads and thinking you're a monster and having split personalities and having multiple identities are all psychological. It's easily enough perceived that there could be somebody that very well suffers or is a monster in their own mind. But when you start delving up and making ghosts and, you know, snakes on the fucking entryway for Randy Orton and yeah, you start getting hokey. You know what I mean? Like, I was okay with The Fiend. Even when The Fiend came about, DT, I was like, oh, the mask is awesome. The severed head lantern is fucking awesome. Because that allowed him to materialize the different aspects of his character. There was Bray Wyatt, the goofball with the puppets, and then there was The Fiend. Like, once he donned the mask, he became a different person. And it worked. It was fine. When they start going back into the supernatural and stuff like that, look, the cheesiness of it is fine. It's funny. But Bray Wyatt's character wasn't meant to be laughed at. Alexa Bliss's character is meant to be laughed at. Bray Wyatt's Pee-wee's Playhouse character, yeah, that. that is meant to be laughed at. It's meant to be stupid. Randy Orton spitting up black pudding is meant to be stupid. It's meant to be laughed at. The difference, though, is Bray Wyatt wasn't always meant to be laughed at. Bray Wyatt eventually ended up that way because WWE ran out of understanding for what made Bray Wyatt's character special. They no longer understood the psychological viewpoint of why Bray Wyatt's character was believed and enjoyed by so many fans. So instead of going with what they didn't know, they went with what they did, and that's goofy, hokey, superstitious stuff. So,
good question for you. If it was a reason, and this is for everyone out there, remember this question. I'd love your comments in the chat. If it was a reasonable price, any of you out there, would you pay for a Bray Wyatt cameo? I'm talking about one of those cameo videos. You know, obviously he couldn't do the Fiend, and I don't know if he would be able to say yowie wowie, but would you all?
See, those weren't the benefits of his character. Those were almost the worst aspects.
Right. So he could just be David Koresh character and just cut like twisted emotional things.
Sure.
So
tell me a story,
curious.
Bray Wyatt. Do a cameo and tell people stories. Tell people creepy stories that your daddy told you about, and you'll make a shit ton of money on cameo.
Johnny Skellingtor. I mean, everybody's questions are great. By the way, shout out to everybody who is live. Of course, everybody tuning in afterwards, but the fact that you're all with us, it's 12:46 a.m. And we're going to start bringing this home. I know as far as calls tonight, things got a little bit long because the combo, but we have the rest of the week to do that. So, but this is an exceptional question. I know it sounds petty, but I want everyone, I mean, Ric Flair is obviously a special person, but you think back at the 50 greatest tag teams that WWE just put out there, and Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson, the Brainbusters, couldn't even make the top 50. That was definitely a shot at the fact that they're in AEW. So I ask you this, what Johnny's saying. Now, since Ric Flair is gone, do you think there's any chance that John Cena defeats Roman Reigns? Because remember, John Cena is this close of reaching Ric Flair's world championship reigns. I mean, pun intended. My opinion, I don't think John Cena beats Roman Reigns right now. Roman Reigns, even though I know the ratings have gone down 3 straight weeks, and unfortunately, and that's kind of sad, Mitch, you got Cena back. Sasha Banks obviously was not advertised. Let's see what the rating is next week. But they started with 2,300,000 3 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I think it went down to like 2,150,000. And then this past week, it went all the way down to like 2,040,000. That's pretty much what it was before they went back to live fans.
Right.
I think SmackDown has been pretty damn good. I don't know why they can't maintain a bigger audience right now, but I think Roman Reigns, since he's your diamond jewel, you don't fuck with that right now. I don't see Cena beating Roman Reigns right now. Cena could become Raw champion.
Well, the problem is something that WWE's done since forever. Monday has been the flagship show. So now you put it into a different perspective that now all of a sudden Fox, SmackDown is the primary show with the better product. It doesn't matter. You've spent the past 20 years telling everybody it's all about Raw.
Yeah.
And SmackDown is the supplemental show. So now, because of a couple of contract dealings with different companies, NBC and Fox, now you want people to pay more attention to Fox? It's not going to work that way. It's just not. You've trained people for 20 fucking years, 20 plus years. It's all about Monday. It's all about Monday. They kind of shot themselves in the foot with this one.
I truly believe that Fox expected higher ratings. They started with that, 3.8 million?
They deserve it. Here's the problem. they absolutely deserve higher ratings on Friday. But the reality is it's not going to happen because they've limited themselves. This is a WWE concern. This is a WWE issue. How do you untrain people from 20 years of being trained into Monday nights as your flagship show?
Right.
Everything important that happens on a Monday night. Everything important that happens after a pay-per-view happens on a Monday night. How do you retrain that after 20 years?
Yeah, it's true. Get back to Raw a little bit. Mish, a lot of people have said Nia Jax has a history of injuring people. Tonight, everybody, Nia Jax, injured Nia Jax. Is she going for the Becky Lynch moment? Is that the look on someone's face like, no, you're not going to get the Becky Lynch push just because you're bleeding by the eye? Nia Jax busted open hard way today, finished the match. The Rhea Ripley rebuild continues. Crowd pretty much accepting Rhea again as if everything that happened leading into Mania and afterwards never happened. I don't know. What'd you think about that tonight? I mean, Nia was busted open pretty damn big. I mean, I didn't see the exact spot, but, you know, some people said it was in the face. Some people said it was by her eye. To me, it looked like it was by her eye. I hope she's okay. I mean, obviously she was okay. She was able to finish the match. But they teased the split after, and the fans were cheering in droves for Shayna Baszler.
Right.
What do you think? Shayna Baszler is a babyface?
I mean, maybe. We'll see what happens with that. I mean, if this is the direction that they're going to pull them apart right now, then so be it. Maybe by SummerSlam. Nia having the red face moment tonight. I don't know if I necessarily believe it was her trying to be the Becky Lynch.
No. It was sarcasm. It was a joke.
No, but you're not the only person that said that, dude. There was a lot of people that went, look, Nia's got to do the Becky Lynch thing now, too. So, I mean, I know you're saying it sarcastically, but there's more than enough people that actually were biting onto that, thinking that there was something behind that. No, she just got plugged. She popped. She sprung a leak. She's okay. I didn't see anybody saying that she's lost vision or, you know, suffered a concussion or anything else like that. The match went on fine. You know, I'm actually kind of surprised that they didn't try to immediately go to a break and make her clean herself up.
Yeah, they let Rhea Ripley hit the riptide after the match was over.
Yeah.
You know, they teased the split, then she hit the riptide.
Very unceremonious of the way that WWE handles blood as of late, so it's kind of interesting.
Oh, John, thank you. John says she hit a face on the rope. Ooh, that could give you, that could rip your skin right off. Trust me, I ran the ropes, and I'm not kidding. I actually have a picture somewhere. When I went to VPW school in 2006, I think it was. Oh, and by the way, I spared you all tonight. You did not get any DT indie wrestling stuff tonight, but I just want you to be aware in case you haven't seen it yet. This past Thursday was the 15-year anniversary of this. And for the first time ever, 15 years, no one ever saw it before, I streamed the 30 minutes in its entirety. What started out was a match between Lowlife Louie and Screaming Norman Smiley with Daphne and yours truly in his corner, which led to a match between yours truly and Louie. They actually rang the bell, and I got quite a bit of "you can't wrestle" chants, to then an absolute brawl, and then a huge wrestle crap moment that I am going to be sending to, was it Matthew? Matthew, is that his name? I'm going to send it to Matthew. I guarantee you he will air it. And then it led to me getting put through a table with thumbtacks, a beer bottle smashed over my head, chair shot. I poured Ajax on Louie's cut head, and the entire 30 minutes aired in its entirety this past Thursday. So if you want to watch something interesting, go check it out. Matthew. Philip, you know why I said Maffey? Because we got Philip Maffey, who is a loyal supporter of the family. So Getting back, and I can't believe, dude, 15 years ago, man. That was 15 fucking years ago. That's how crazy time flies. That was 15 years ago. That's depressing. That I actually have footage of me that is even older than that, 16, 17 years ago. Can't believe that many years have flown by that fast. Sad.
It has.
Sad. Mike and Charlie says, Florida, 110,000 people with the virus. That's nice. Expected. That's nice. Getting back to Raw tonight, Riddle's got a new scooter. Damien Priest, seeming to fit in a little bit. I like that Riddle still has the M before his name because they won't let him use Matt. But, you know, little comedy. You think Randy Orton returns next week?
I don't know. I mean, why are people believing that Randy Orton will be back next week?
Well, they're going to have the match at SummerSlam. It's got to be Omos and AJ versus Riddle and Orton at SummerSlam. SummerSlam is what? Now 3 weeks away?
3 weeks away, yeah.
Yeah, so you only have 2 Raws. So they're milking this close.
Yeah, true.
So, you know what I can see happening? Omos return match with Riddle next week. This time maybe Randy shows up and Omos loses. Sets up the tag title match. I don't know. But I tell you, man, you know, we look back at Randy Orton and how many people that are now gone, and they all, it's kind of weird and creepy when you think about it. You look at, shout out to Reed, what's up, my friend? You look at all the people that Randy Orton took out, and they're being released. You think about that segment in the room that time. Paul White, gone. Now Ric Flair, gone. Which really, that doesn't amount to me, but, you know, you think the last visual we had was Randy Orton versus The Fiend at WrestleMania. So here's another person that in the tail end, their final moments in WWE, they passed through Randy Orton. And here's another person that is gone. It's pretty wild when you think about it. So, whatever, Reed just said something pretty funny about Nia Jax. Used to love Nia Jax, big ass. She has a platinum. She's got a platinum ass. You know, I still got a Nia Jax kiss card that I was going to give away on these shows. Yeah. She's got some big ass lips on that card. It's a kind of sexy card, actually. And she autographed it too. It's got good work to it. I was going to give it away a while back. I know I gave away another one, but I like Nia Jax. I know that's very unpopular, but I like her. I mean, to me, she's attractive. You know, she's a bigger woman, so what? You know, she's obviously have caused some injuries, you know, been a little careless in the ring. I know some people like a little, but, you know, I could tolerate Nia Jax. I don't hate her. But I'll tell you something I absolutely hated tonight.
What's that?
What was that with Tamina and Doudrop? I mean, I understand Natty had ankle surgery, torn tendons in her ankle. Right now it's up in the air if they're going to strip them of the tag titles. There might be some title match at the pay-per-view. There might be a gauntlet or something. Yeah. But didn't it feel like Doudrop losing to Tamina tonight was kind of like WWE's receipt for, even though it was an accident, that Natty got her ankle torn up in her match with Doudrop last week?
I don't know. I just thought it was their way of making Tamina look strong, so when Doudrop eventually beats her. That's what I had the feeling of.
That match sucked.
Yeah, it was not good. So
it was not good. Alexa Bliss, you know, after and rubbing it into Eva's face, the loser, Eva Marie, you know, doing the opposite.
Of course.
Again, I said this for 2 weeks in a row now. Where is this leading? I don't want Alexa Bliss versus Eva Marie at SummerSlam. Doudrop attacked Alexa Bliss later on. They showed up in the playground.
Yeah.
So maybe it's leading to Alexa Bliss versus Doudrop. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I like that either. I don't know. I thought that match sucked tonight.
Yeah, it wasn't a good match, and Alexa Bliss versus Doudrop in a feud is not something I'm looking forward to either. Alexa Bliss needs to stay away from the ring. I don't know. I know that you're a big fan of, her current work and stuff like that, and as far as the character goes, she does a good job of it. But as far as being in the ring, yeah, I'm all set. Let
me just let everyone know, because they don't know. Mish vapes on occasion, and Mish, respect to the show.
Who doesn't know this by now?
Well, a lot of people don't know.
We've been doing this show for
marijuana, everyone. It's vaping, and we don't show vaping on the show because we don't want to stir it up with YouTube. I know. So tonight we had a double. We had more interaction with Miz and Morrison and Damien Priest. Damien Priest calling Morrison Johnny sidekick, trying to insinuate. And I don't want to see Miz and Morrison break up, by the way. But first we get Morrison versus Damien Priest. I think this is their fourth match one-on-one, and Damien Priest has won them all. Sheamus comes out, attacks Damien Priest. So then we get an impromptu tag match because Ricochet comes out. I know because of the history with him and Morrison in recent weeks. So then we get Ricochet and Damien Priest defeating Morrison and Sheamus. So this kind of leaves the feud with Ricochet and Morrison intact, and Damien Priest and Sheamus go at it a little bit, but I think it's pretty much a given. Sheamus versus Damien Priest is happening at SummerSlam.
Yeah, that'll be fine. And I really hope that he goes back and he has another fight with Johnny Drip Drip, the master of wetness. Those two guys have good matches. John Morrison has really stepped up his game as far as character goes. It's honestly night and day in 1 year from where his character was a year ago to what it is today. It's amazing. So his work with The Miz makes sense. Matter of fact, Miz is funnier than ever too. I don't know what it is. They click. For whether you're a fan of Miz and Morrison or not, you have to admit they're a good heel faction. And Damien Priest with his little back and forth earlier with with Miz and John Morrison was pretty funny. It was a good back and forth. I enjoyed it. Damien Priest seems to be becoming more and more comfortable in his role. He's better and better in the ring, and he still keeps things unorthodox, which keeps him fresh every week, even if it is just pulling out a move that hasn't been seen in a while. He's a good wrestler. I'm really enjoying his stuff. And with Sheamus, I see that that's going to be a good feud down the road too, man.
Absolutely. Damien Priest is finding his main roster character a little bit. Some of his promos, they get a little cringy at times, but, I like that he brings up his bouncer days and stuff like that. And, I'm feeling it. I think they saved some of this comedy fodder with Miz and Morrison for live fans, because it obviously works 1,000 times better with live fans in attendance. But, not bad tonight. Omos beating Riddle so handedly.
Good.
I mean, really?
Yeah, dude. Look, we talked about this before. Stop trying to get Omos to sell. I understand.
I thought he did good tonight with selling.
As a wrestler. He was a little bit better tonight, but it's just so awkward for him. It's so awkward because how is he supposed to sell somebody like on the size of Matt Riddle? But yeah, Omos needs to stay as a monster. He needs to stay as the guy that needs 6 people to throw him over the top rope at Royal Rumble. That's what he needs to stay as. You can't break down his character so fast and have guys that are half his size beat him. Omos needs to stay as the unfair advantage for him and AJ Styles. And I like the position that they're leaving him in. Just don't fuck with him. Just he's doing a good job. He's getting better week to week. He's got better expressions, better responses to things. Yeah, he can't sell a punch for shit because what the fuck does a guy that size even know what a punch feels like, a real punch, That's why it's always funnier when you see smaller guys do it and they don't know how to do it because they've all been punched in the face 20 or 30 times. So Omos is a little bit different. He's a different fucking ploy. He's a different play. So yeah, look, I know people love Matt, but or Riddle. Sorry, M Riddle. But the reality is Omos needs to stay a monster. You can't get rid of that just to give Riddle a little more fire. It's not worth it.
I was thinking about it tonight. I was looking at Omos. You know what kind of reminds me of? This character was a wrestler. I don't know if this character would be Omos or Omos would be this character. He fucking reminds me of Isaac Hayes when he was in Escape from New York. When Isaac Hayes was the Duke of New York. I don't know what it is. I mean, when he's just like, is my house, like, I don't know. There's just something about Omos that connects with me. I was surprised that the crowd wasn't more receptive. They were actually booing him a lot towards the end. But, you know, I'm liking Omos. I mean, the guy seems like he's getting more and more confident every week. I think that is and I think performing in front of live crowds now speeds up that process. That if he can, I think he's getting more confident each week. Yeah. What other matches did we get tonight? I mean, we'll talk.
Mace and T-Bar versus
Chicago hometown boy Mustafa Ali and Mansoor.
Mansoor, yes.
People were angry that Ali couldn't get a win in his hometown.
The crowd didn't give a shit. I was talking with Krauser about that. If you heard cheers or boos during that match, it was piped in. There was like pin drops for that match. So
shout out to Reed 90 again. When he said platinum before, he was talking about she got a platinum mouth. I thought you were talking about that ass. Nia Jack, that platinum ass. And I say that as a compliment. He said, that's his boo.
That's not your boo. You're turning on Tamina? I thought you were a Tamina guy. What? You're not into the pockets no more, bro?
See, I like a big ass.
On the pockets?
I don't mind a big ass. I don't like the ones where they're injecting themselves so the ass is like this. I mean, I watch some.
Asses? Yeah.
Oh my God, I watch some of those videos sometimes, and I'm like, why would you do that to your ass? There's like no reversing it. You inject. I mean, I could see if you just gain weight, and you're like, all right, you know, if I work out in the gym and I do enough like stretchies, like I could lose some of my ass. You inject it like that, what are you gonna do? Like stick a needle and undrain it? I don't know why someone would do that. You know,
it's a kink. Same way dudes like fucking breast implants. You know what I mean? It's a thing. Same way dudes like girls with duck lips. It's a kink. It's a.
I don't think Nia injects her ass with stuff.
No, she doesn't. But there are absolutely girls out there that are tiny, except they have this humongous ass.
Oh my God!
Absolutely tiny waist, tiny top, and just a ginormous ass. So,
I believe it.
No, it's totally
I've seen
Rule
them.
34.
I've seen them. Look, Ali and Mansoor, you know, what I liked about tonight, obviously T-Bar and Mace get their win back, 50-50 booking. Everybody should know that by now. But what I liked is Ali pushing Mansoor out of the ring.
Yeah.
And take the shot. That is a baby face move by Mustafa Ali. And I tell you, I'm enjoying Mansoor and Mustafa Ali as a tag team. I will tell you, when they go to Saudi Arabia in October, I feel it's almost guaranteed that Mustafa Ali and Mansoor will get a tag title shot in Saudi Arabia against, it's got to be the Raw Tag Team Champions if they go to Saudi Arabia. I think that's where this is leading. I think, it's only 2 weeks in a row. But I like the pairing. I like Mansoor. I like him. You know, when he first came in.
Well, see, I think you're looking at it as a face move. I didn't see it as a face move at all. I saw it more as a I know who T-Bar and Mace are. Get the fuck out of here. Like, I deserve the beatdown, not you. Not necessarily a face move like, I'll save you, brother. It wasn't something cornball as that. I think it was more along the lines of it was a throwback to remember when these three guys used to be a part of the same group? Remember that? That's what I felt it was.
Yeah. Well, it does feel like that tag team, they're definitely pushing for Ali to be a babyface. Just not your typical path. I mean,
Yeah.
just getting laid out a couple of times is necessary so the fans get behind them a little bit more. But I like the pairing. I really like the pairing. Where's Asuka, Mike? It's 1 o'clock in the morning right now, and she's probably in bed.
Hopefully where I'm going to be in a few minutes.
Yeah, that's a dumb joke that I've been doing since 1997. They gave Asuka some time off. They focus right now on Nikki A.S.H. and Charlotte and Rhea, and Becky is about to return. I was prepared to tweak the title of tonight's show if Becky returned. You know, I think fans are getting a little bit tired thinking that Becky's going to return every week now, but each week that goes by, it's 1 week closer. She's returning either next week or the week after, or SummerSlam, 2-3 weeks away. So, you know, it's funny. I got to just throw this out there random. We're just about done, everyone. And again, I'm sorry that we didn't take calls tonight, but obviously the combo, especially about Bray Wyatt, was a very important one tonight. But, you know, we'll take calls Thursday. By the way, Thursday, don't forget, somebody is going to win Mish's Atom Bomb, you know, since he wasn't here last Monday and, you know, he commingles with the enemy. You know, I decided to give his stuff away, which we already talked about. The autograph photos that were originally supposed to be for Mish. This one, I'm joking. I have yours boxed up. This is something else. This is an extra one. So yours are going out tomorrow, by the way.
Oh, okay.
And you got the goggles. See, I have them on display in the back a little bit. But
Awesome.
no, but for real, somebody's going to win the autograph photos and the Atom Bomb football, you know, Thursday.
Yeah, I think they'll fucking love it. It's awesome.
Yes. And don't forget, for those that tuned in late tonight, if you're not aware of it, I'm going to give this away. I have tons of Bray Wyatt memorabilia. Now, some of my autograph stuff, I can't part with. It's too sentimental for me, but I have these box things. You go on eBay right now. This box, I think, is $150 or $125. And this one is a size extra large. In the comment section tomorrow, I will pin a thread and let you know what size shirts, because each one of these boxes has a Husky the Pig shirt in it. And I will check the sizes and I'll post it in the comment section. This way you know what sizes you're gun for. So all you got to do to be in the contest is when the show's done tonight, just post a comment in the comment section. And next week live, we're going to draw someone. We'll probably draw it. We'll draw it at the stroke of midnight. So you know exactly when it's going to happen. And all you got to do is be here live, go in the chat room and say, I'm here for my prize. We'll pick somebody live next Monday at midnight, and you just claim your prize. And that's it. Mish Reed has a message for you. Don't ever cut your hair, Mish. You sexy mofo.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, I actually got to go to the barber tomorrow, so we'll see how that turns out.
Anybody
Mish
notice
has
something about my hair? I kind of dyed it too dark. Went out with my friends I haven't seen in 20 years last Thursday. I decided to dye my hair. I kind of like botched it a little bit. So I admit it. I don't mind. I don't hide it. So anyway, just to wrap up tonight, just to add a little bit of what we said earlier, we had a no-holds-barred non-title match between Nikki A.S.H. and Charlotte. Charlotte got the victory last week. This week, Nikki A.S.H. gets the win. Crowd was into this match. I mean, Charlotte, we got to talk about this. Charlotte cut a promo earlier. that is getting a shitload of heat online. She talked about, was it Simone Biles on the Olympic team? And, you know, she had originally pulled out of the games mental health issues. And, you know, some people out there, you know, criticized her. I think that was wrong, but she's returning, I think, tomorrow. And she fucking wins gold. That is a storybook story. But Charlotte cut a promo, like comparing like her mental health issues to Simone Biles. And I don't know, whoever came up with that, I think, was really, really moronic. I thought that was so unnecessary. Charlotte is major over as a heel. I don't think that was necessary to bring her up at all. What did you think of that? I just was like saying to myself,
I didn't know about it. I didn't know about it until you just mentioned it. We didn't even talk about it earlier today, but I mean that's part of her gimmick. If she can get more people to hate her because of the stuff that she says online, then go for it. It's not like she needs people's adulation. So, well,
she cuts the promo, gets some heel heat, obviously, but getting a lot of anger online for it. They have the hardcore match, and they use chairs, tables. Nikki powerbombed through the announcer's table, which looked awesome. Charlotte spearing herself. Nikki moving out of the way, and Charlotte spearing a table, which looked like that shit legit hurt. I thought was a pretty damn good match. I just wish they would lighten up on the almost a superhero thing, because it's just making her look like she's winning on flukes. You know, you're a superhero. Be confident. Be strong. You know, I just think WWE
which is why it doesn't work with an underdog. Superhero character doesn't necessarily work as an underdog. Hurricane got away with it, but that was because he was a comedy character.
Right.
You know, you can't really. And I guess Nikki's supposed to be a comedy character, but she's not on the level of Shane Helms. So I'm sorry. She's just not.
Yeah. I like the main event. You know, Nikki hitting that not Spike DDT. I don't know what that finisher is called. But, you know, with Charlotte draped on the ropes, it almost looks like when Randy Orton does his DDT. But,
right.
You know, Charlotte spears the table. And then, you know, Nikki crying in the ring and then looking pissed off and looking like all emotional. And then she hits a finisher on Charlotte and gets the win. I just think that, you know, you want to build confidence. And I don't know, it just like we keep reminded that she's so much of an underdog. I think of Spike Dudley. I remember when Spike Dudley was in ECW, that motherfucker got his ass kicked all the time. Never won a match. Came to WWE, didn't win matches either. They did the little love thing, I think, with Molly Holly at the time. And still lost repeatedly. And then they decided they were going to put a cruiserweight title on him. And hanging, swinging neck breaker. Thank you very much, Markness. But they finally put a title on him. And then he was winning every match. And I remember doing hotlines. I still have some of my hotline reports at the time. And I remember people saying, like, this is not believable. You know, suspension of disbelief. Like, how do we buy into Spike Dudley suddenly being able to win every single week, where his entire career, his character is the lovable loser? And Nikki A.S H, in my opinion, the more they do this almost thing, I understand it's a PSA to kids out there and people who are not perfect, that at any day you can be almost a superhero, you know, almost a superhero. But the thing is that when you do that week after week after week, you're separating how big or how high of a level Charlotte is, and Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair and Bayley and Asuka, and it goes on and on and on. And almost this. I just feel they need to cut back on that a little bit, and then Nikki show everybody that you don't have to be almost a superhero to win. You know, I don't know. So, Mish, I know you're tired. Any closing comments before we go, Mr. Vape Man? I think he went to do pee-pee, everybody. I think he went to do pee-pee. By the way, I don't know if you could, oh, you can't see this. The cord is kind of, I got my Stream Deck active today. So now because I got the Stream Deck, I can manipulate things here. I got little things. I could do super chats. I could do members. I could do this. I'm playing around with it. I still got more to do with it. But anyway, any final thoughts, Mish? Because I know you're tired. I'm going to let you go.
No.
2 hours, 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, sorry about that. I had to really hit the head, dude.
That's what I figured. I said you had to go.
Yeah, I'm back. I mean, if you want to talk for another few minutes, that's perfectly fine, dude. But nothing much really going on. Regular Patreon stuff. Thursday, obviously, is Wrestling Soup. So we probably got another Frank and Gus with me and Joey later on this week. We already did the Q&As earlier today. So if you subbed, we also made a lot of changes to our Patreon as well. Added some new stuff on there. So hopefully people really dig that. Right, cool. And yeah.
Patreon.com/Wrestling Soup, everyone. Like I always say, Patreon.com Wrestling Soup, Patreon.com Don Tony, the two together. We don't try to, and in fact, like I said earlier, I'm eliminating, the highest tier over here because I don't want it to be a money grab. I know a lot of you out there love to have a little extra content, little things, and I don't think you should have to break the bank to do so. So, but definitely check that out. Now, for those that are on our Patreon tomorrow, we're going to reveal the final 16 in the cartoons tournament. And it's fascinating. I mean, there's been thousands of entries because obviously I think some people are voting more than once, but it is so goddamn interactive. We started with 96 cartoons. For those that don't know, on our Patreon, we talk about a lot of things outside of wrestling. And about 2 months ago, we were just randomly talking about like our favorite sitcoms of all time. Mm-hmm. And we decided to do like a tournament based on somebody's list that they had online. And we went through this tournament halfway through. We were like, this show's not on there. This show's not on here. Why isn't this show on here? And then we did the New Day. For those out there that want to see something, the New Day, Wrestling New Day, they did a toy tournament not too long ago. There was a lot of toys missing also. So Mish and I said, why don't we do our own? We'll let everybody contribute like some titles. And we'll do like favorite TV sitcoms, favorite cartoons, favorite fast food, favorite wrestler, favorite movies, favorite sci-fi. And we did TV sitcoms and blew the roof off. We started with 96 shows. Yeah, and the final two were The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Married with Children. Yep. And Married with Children 1. And we started with 96 cartoons last week. We're already down to the final 16 brackets. Tomorrow we reveal those 16, and then next week we reveal the winner, and then we'll decide. I think the next one after that will be your favorite horror film. And we'll probably start off with 96 movies. So if you want to check it out, there's hundreds of exclusive episodes on Patreon that have never been public. So if you sign up, you got the keys to the city. You can download them all. You'll be able to tune into shows for years. Download them all. And then, if you want to unsubscribe, go ahead. As long as you sign up. Mish, my friend, have a good night. Thank you for staying home tonight. That's awesome. I'll talk to you tomorrow for Patreon.
No problem. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for having me. Hope you guys had a good night. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.
Be well, my friend. All right, everybody. I am going to... I hate when he freezes the freaking frame. And he's just looking at me. You ever see that thing where it says, like, someone is watching you masturbate? Like, the ones I'm talking about. That kind of, like, got that little look to it. But Charlie Goldberg's not winning. You just want to shout out. He is not winning against Bobby Lashley. It's not happening. Do not worry. Hey, how many of you out there did not tune into Thursday or Friday show, that did not see my wrestle crap stuff? How many of it? Do you want me to stream it? Because I put it. Listen, it's not the 30-minute version. The 30-minute version is on this past Thursday show, but I narrowed it down to 9 minutes. So, do you want me to stream it? I mean, if you don't want me to stream it, I'll just end the show right now. But if you want me to stream it, I have a 9-minute condensed version of an anniversary, something I was involved in 15 years ago. So if you want, I'll be more than happy to stream this now to close out the show, or I could just end it now. So just tell me, all right, some people did not tune in. How do you not tune in Thursday or Friday? Don't forget, you get a jet out now, don't forget. Going to give this away tomorrow in the comment section. I'll post the sizes that are available, and you know how to enter. You have a whole week to do so, and that's it. So if you want to see, special to me, this happened 15 years ago, Thursday to the day. I was not good. Keep in mind, this is before I went to wrestling school. And this was maybe my only 4th or 5th ever appearance on camera. And trust me when I tell you, you watch this 9-minute version, it does not do justice. After you see this, if you want to see more, just go to last Thursday's show and watch the 30-minute version. I promise you, you will see so much wrestle crap that I think you can't help but to laugh your ass off. So, all right. So those are going to leave now. Have a great night. If you don't mind, on your way out, if you enjoyed the show, give it a like. Hit that thumbs up. You know, like, subscribe, share, and post comments, man. Every little bit of that helps us grow the show, and we're really looking to take this to the next level. I'm not kidding. We're going to start having collaborations with some other hosts this month. We're going to start adding some additional content this month. We got a couple of things planned. It's going to be special. So anyway, without further ado, I give you some wrestle crap. Enjoy, everybody.
Hey, they all know that, all right?
Last show, remember this? I don't think we saw this because this was stapled to your ass. See this? 1999 is when you started your wrestling career. 2006 is when it ended. You signed this, I signed this. I'll make it plain and simple. You want to take me one-on-one? Before you wanted this contract, there's one person in the back that wants to take you on, since you're so hardcore. There's a hardcore champion in the back that wants to take you one-on-one, and I gave him the money. Yeah. I'll make a deal. You beat him one-on-one, you get me one-on-one tonight.
You're a pussy.
Yeah. I'm a pussy?
He's not a pussy!
For 5 months, I've been training. I didn't train to... Yeah. And you know what? I trained to wrestle. I didn't train to staple your head, staple your ass, slice you up and dice you. I learned to wrestle. So if you're such a man and you want to face me one-on-one, you want to face him, no weapons. No weapons. You want... Come on, are you that? Do you have to be laying that down much? No weapons. Are you a pussy? What's that? Somebody will finally train you to wrestle you? No weapons. Bring out his opponent.
I don't think anybody will go with it though. You don't know it.
Former WCW Hardcore Champion, Norman Smiley.
Havoc is not here. He is at the Bear right now. I have it on good word.
And whose good word is that? And de Blasi running for his life
running
here.
Like a schoolgirl.
And now they're choking him into the corner. Danny Demento in control here on Louis Ramos. Bicep Bravado in control here on Monster Mac. And he's going for the cannonball in the corner, Casey Blade.
Oh my God.
What a move.
But the crowd didn't seem to value that move.
That might have taken the energy out of Bicep Bravado.
As he hit the wall, it looked like he hit a wall.
Remember, Bravado was injured early on in this match.
With his left arm.
And it's taken a toll here. He might have hurt himself more by
up.
dishing out the punishment here.
Yes, absolutely. Very eloquently said, Mr. Gentry. What the hell was that?
Did he just pour salt in the wounds of Louis Ramos?
He just put Ajax in his face.
Oh.
On the wounds.
I can't.
That is Ajax. That's blue.
Uh-oh. And Demento's got Ramos on the outside setting up for something.
Oh, my God. What are we going to see here,
Oh,
folks?
no.
Pigs, when pigs fly.
This does not bode well for both individuals here. Oh, my God. He landed on his head.
He landed on his head.
And the fans are calling it correctly here. Holy shit.
He's lucky that those cheap, thin mats that Goodman provides for the wrestlers on the wood hard floor barely protected his head, but it could have saved his life, maybe.
And it looks like, well, Bicep Bravado and Monster Mac, they're the only two men left standing here.
Those people look like they're unconscious.
And de Blasi running around like a schoolgirl, like you said earlier.
About it, the weight between both individuals, the impact of how they hit the ground, it was scary to say the least. Bison, it has to be over, folks.
That clothesline came all the way from Compton. He's setting up. Is he going to come off with a frog splash?
These two guys are back up. I don't believe it.
What intestinal fortitude here. Uh-oh. This is going to be a rough landing here.
He wants the people up.
This is not bode well for Bison.
Oh! It's over. 1, 2, 3. Put it in the books.
And thankfully, this match is over. We're winners.
And still tag team champions.
Low Life Louie and Monster Mac.
Unbelievable matchup. Unbelievable guts.
Oh! And Louis Ramos finally getting his hands on Anthony de Blasi.
That cannoli swinging freak. But wait a second. We have a table still in play.
What does he have there? No, he's not. No, I don't think this is gonna happen.
I don't know, folks, but it looks pretty serious. He broke a bottle on his head. I thought he was gonna set the table on fire. Louis cutting his hand from. You saw that? He wanted to hurt de Blasi so much that he cut his own hand with the bottle. I don't believe it.
Oh, he's still got that table. I've seen a lot here tonight. What else are we going to see here? That low life Louis.
Thumbtack!
Oh no! I got to stand for this one.
Stand for this one here, folks. What is going to happen here?
Oh no!
It looks like he's gonna get his. All that talking.
Oh no! And Louis Ramos has him set up on that table. Oh no! Elbow! Oh!
Goodness!
Abdul, the butcher leg elbow drop on the table, on the thumbtacks. Haley the Blasey is
Look
dead.
at all the thumbtacks on him, folks. Gentry, have you ever seen such a sight?
What a display!
What is this? Trent Acid has hit the ring.
Trent Acid in a Rasta hat. It's hot enough in this building. Take that hat off, my God.
Trent Acid looks like he hasn't seen the beach in months. What happened to Trent?
These guys, remember, they're Team Philly here.
Team Philadelphia in full effect.
I'm gonna go sit down.
He's smoking a cigarette. Wait a sec. That's familiar.
To me, I am your heavyweight champion, and you should show me some respect.
I don't see people showing him any respect. He's right.
Look at De Blasi.
Oh my God.
Look at all the thumbtacks on his back. Oh, that's terrible. Too bad the cameraman's not positioning on that. Where'd the hard cameraman go?
I don't know. He must not be doing his job.
That's the 9-minute version. There's a lot of little gems that we had to cut out, but 15 years ago, man, 15 years ago, you know, people still ask me to this day, what hurts worse? The bottle over the head, the chair shot, or the thumbtacks? The thumbtacks hurt more when you get them in your hands and you get them in your face. Back, you really don't feel. I mean, I got put on the table. Usually, when you see people get thumbtacks on TV, they usually get slammed, they get put through it, and they got that split-second jolt of the tacks going in them. When you get laid out on the table and you're laying on the tacks, they're like pinching you, trying to get in there, and then so the thumbtacks, but I'll be honest with you, loved every minute of it. Loved every minute of it. You get an adrenaline rush that you don't feel things. To me, chair shots were always 1,000 times worse. No joke, especially that one that I took that time by Jason Static. I threw up multiple times that night. And, you know, I realized later on I probably had a little bit of a concussion. But I just can't believe it's 15 years already. So, all right, so I figured I'd show you all the 9-minute condensed version. So I loved it, man. I loved it. Maybe I'll get an opportunity to do it again if someone thinks that I'm valuable enough. I will say this, body-wise, even though I'm 15 years older, my body feels 1,000 times better now than it did at that time. That time, you know, I was heavier, but not only that, just physically, I had no business doing that stuff. Had no business. The injuries that I sustained in my car accident, even now, things hurt. But I think now I move around a hell of a lot better than I did back then. But anyway, enough of me. We're at 2.5 hours. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. So Wednesday, join me. After AEW Dynamite, we have Juventud Guerrera versus Chris Jericho. Malachi Black versus Cody, which I'm really looking forward to. Hoovy is still in shape. Believe it or not, Hoovy could still go. For those out there that really weren't wrestling fans during the Monday Night Wars. If you want a good idea of the history between Hoovy and Jericho, that I personally think AEW should have did a better job hyping up. The problem is they can't show the footage. WWE owns the footage. But there's two moments in WCW. If you want to Google it, check them out. The first one is when Jericho fought Hoovy on an episode of Nitro. It might have been March of 1998. It's either March or April of 98. And after the match is over, Hoovy is laid out upside down, and Jericho, obviously, because he was a heel at the time, he's getting all paranoid, and he's like, oh my God, I killed Hoovy. I killed Hoovy. And it's one of the funniest things. I mean, it's no joke, but you have to just watch it to understand it. So all you got to do is Google Hoovy Jericho, I killed Hoovy, and watch the segment. The second one, obviously, Super Brawl 7, I think it is, Super Brawl 1998. Chris Jericho beat Hoovy, and as a result, Hoovy was forced to unmask. Now, obviously, for us fans of Lucha Libre, we didn't want to see Hoovy unmasked. When Hoovy unmasked, I remember doing my hotline, and I remember a lot of my female callers were like, hell yeah, take that fucking mask off. They had no idea what Hoovy looked like under the mask. Rey Mysterio, I think some people would say, was very attractive also. So Hoovy unmasked, was not a step down. I mean, obviously, Lucha Libre and Mexico was not thrilled about it, but Jericho beating Hoovy was the reason why Hoovy had to unmask. So there is some history. There is some history there. So, look, it's going to be nostalgia. Jericho has to win by hitting a top rope finisher, whatever that means, whatever. I'm looking forward to this week's wrestling. Obviously, we have the second week of pre-recorded NXT, so I know a lot of you out there have seen the spoilers. You know what's going down tomorrow. I don't want to give any spoilers here, but, it should be a great week in wrestling, man. I don't understand how anybody could really bitch about the wrestling the last couple of weeks. There's been a lot of good points. There's been some bad points. But I think back 20 some odd years ago, 30 years ago as a wrestling fan, and we had low points. We had Shangada stuff during shows. We should enjoy it right now. So anyway, I am going to jet out of here. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. Much love as always. And I can't thank you enough for the support. Can't believe we hit 20,000 subscribers, which was beautiful. And here's to the next 20,000. So, yeah, I'm out of here. So if you're a part of our Patreon, or if you're not and you want to sign up, perfect timing because you got the whole month. You can join us live tomorrow. Mish and I will be live at 10:05 p.m. Tomorrow's off the cuff. So if you tune in live, we pretty much interact with everybody the whole night. We don't have anything in front of us. We just talk about whatever. And then Wednesday, I'll be right back here on YouTube for Wednesday Night Dynamite. Thursday will be the that's Friday, Don Tony Show. Thursday's Q&A, live calls. If you want to talk about Bray Wyatt, I wanted to take live calls tonight about the Bray Wyatt stuff, but I knew we were going to go so late having the discussion that we didn't want to just take 2 or 3 calls and be out of here. Thursday, phone lines will be open pretty much throughout the whole show. So if you want to call in and you want to speak about Bray Wyatt, you agree more with what I said, Mish, you got some other viewpoints on it about his 10-year career with WWE, 10 plus years, call in Thursday. We'll be taking calls and probably give away another one of these boxes on Thursday too. I got to see. I have some other items that I could give away as well. We'll see. I'll check out my stash and see what I'm willing to part with. But I will tell you this. I don't have just this. I have the Christmas boxes. I got 3 different Wyatt boxes. I have about 10 of them in total. And honestly, yeah, I could throw them up on eBay and probably get $1.25 a piece on them. But, if we give away a couple on these shows, it's just our way of just thanking you for the support. And we do the contest live. So we pick the winner next week. You see it on the screen. I hit the randomizer. It just picks a random comment. Whoever pops up, you got a couple of minutes to go in the chat and claim your prize. Easy. Very simple. So I'm going to jet out of here. Everyone have a great night. Much love. And I will catch you all. And yeah, I actually set it up on my stream deck. So all I got to do is hit one button and the show does this.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's alright. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.